Okay, picture this. You open your investment app, maybe it's a Tuesday night, maybe you're lying in bed scrolling through it for no real reason, and you see your portfolio. And honestly, it looks fine. It went up $11 this week. $11. You put in more than that from your own paycheck just a few days ago. And there's this quiet little voice that goes, is this actually doing anything? Like you're pouring water into a bucket that might have a hole in the bottom of it. You don't feel richer. You don't feel different. You just feel like you're waiting for something that may or may not ever show up. My name is Josh, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, specifically about why investing feels so completely uneventful for so long, and then seemingly out of nowhere, it doesn't. Because here's the thing, nobody really explains to you clearly. There is an actual point, a specific and identifiable moment where your investments stop being this abstract thing you're supposed to do and start actually changing the way you live, the way you think, even the way you carry yourself through the world. It's not a specific dollar amount that's the same for everybody, but the mechanics behind it are the same for everybody. And once you see it, you can't really unsee it. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to walk through exactly what that point is, why it takes so painfully long to arrive, and this is the part I think actually matters, what changes in your brain, your habits, and your day-to-day life once you cross it. Because I think a lot of people quit investing, or barely invest, or invest half-heartedly, simply because nobody ever told them how long the boring part lasts. So let's talk about the boring part, and then let's talk about what's waiting on the other side of it. Here's an uncomfortable truth, and I want to just get it out of the way early. For most people, the first several years of investing feel like almost nothing. You contribute, the market wiggles around, you check your balance, it's basically flat, maybe even down, and your brain, which was built by evolution to notice saber-toothed tigers, not exponential curves, concludes that this isn't working. Let's use a simple example. Say you're investing $400 a month. Just steadily, every month, rain or shine. In year one, assuming decent average market growth, your account might have somewhere around $5,000 in it. Growth for that year? Maybe a couple $100. You will not feel that. You will not feel $200 of growth on a $5,000 account. It's invisible. It's a rounding error against your rent payment. But here's the part that's actually kind of beautiful once you understand it. Compounding isn't linear, it's curved. It looks flat for a long time, and then it bends upward, faster and faster, like a skateboarder rolling into a half pipe. At the bottom of the ramp, you're basically just rolling along, nothing dramatic. It's only once you're further up the curve that the speed becomes obvious. Money works the same way. The growth in year 15 isn't 15 times the growth of year 1. It's often dramatically more than that, because you're not just growing your contributions anymore. You're growing the growth itself. I think about this like planting a tree, which I know is a cliche, but stick with me. A tree you plant this spring is not going to be giving you shade this summer. For the first couple years, it just kind of sits there. Looks the same in photos. You could be forgiven for thinking you planted a stick in the dirt. And then one day, a few years in, you look up and there's an actual canopy over your head, and you go, wait, when did that happen? And look, I get why this is discouraging. We live in a world of instant everything. Instant messages, instant meals, instant everything you could possibly want delivered to your door in under an hour. Investing is basically the last remaining thing in modern life that refuses to speed up for you, no matter how much you'd like it to. It doesn't care that you checked your app 4 times today. It moves at its own pace, on its own timeline, and honestly, that's kind of the point. So here's the actionable piece for this section. If you're in the nothing is happening years right now, that's not a signal to stop. That's actually the signal that you're doing it exactly right. The years that feel the most pointless are structurally the most important ones, because that's when the base gets built that everything later compounds on top of. Okay, so eventually, and the timeline depends heavily on how much you're contributing, your account's growth, and plain luck with market timing, there's a moment where something quietly flips. It's the moment where the money your investments generate in a given year becomes bigger than the money you personally put in that year. Let's say you're contributing $5,000 a year. For a long time, your account's growth in dollar terms is smaller than that $5,000. Your effort, the actual sweat and discipline of setting aside money from your paycheck, is doing more work than your portfolio is. And then one year, your portfolio's growth quietly exceeds your contribution. Your money is now out-earning you, at least for that stretch. This is not a get-rich-quick number, and I want to be really clear about that. Nobody is promising you specific returns here, and markets go up and markets go down, sometimes brutally so. But structurally, this crossover point exists for almost everyone who invests consistently over a long enough runway, and it tends to sneak up on people because they're not tracking it. They're tracking their balance, sure, but not the ratio between what I added and what the market added. I remember a friend of mine, I won't use her real name, let's just say her name was Priya for this story, telling me she almost didn't believe her app when it showed her account had grown more in 1 year than she'd contributed across the entire year. She said it felt like finding out a plant you'd been watering had started watering itself. That's honestly a pretty good way to put it. Why does this moment matter so much psychologically? Because it's the first tangible proof that you're not just saving. You're now participating in something with its own momentum. It's the first time your money feels like it has its own pulse, separate from your paycheck. And once people feel that, something shifts in how seriously they take the whole project. The action step here is simple. Start actually tracking this ratio. Once a year, compare your total contributions for the year against the account's total growth for the year. Don't obsess over it monthly, that way lies madness, given how volatile markets can be short-term. But annually, that's a number worth watching, because when it flips, you'll know. There's a version of this that isn't really about the numbers at all. It's about how you start to see yourself. And honestly, I think this shift matters just as much, maybe more, than any specific dollar figure. For most of us, we start out thinking of ourselves as someone who saves money, which, don't get me wrong, is a genuinely good identity to have. But it's a scarcity identity. It's built around not spending, around restriction, around being careful. And there's a ceiling on how motivating that is long-term, because nobody wants to spend their whole life being defined by what they're not doing. Somewhere along this journey, and it's different for everyone, but it tends to cluster around the point where your account starts feeling real, where it's no longer some token amount, but genuinely meaningful money. People start to describe themselves differently. Not "I'm trying to save more," but "I'm an investor." Small phrase, huge difference. One is about restriction, the other is about participation. One is defensive, the other is active. I noticed this in myself, actually. Small personal aside here. There was a stretch of time where I'd check my account purely out of anxiety, like checking a wound, to see if it's healing. And then at some point, without really deciding to, I started checking it out of curiosity instead. Almost like checking the score of a game I actually cared about, instead of checking whether something bad had happened. That shift from dread to curiosity is one of the clearest tells that the identity has changed underneath you. Why does this matter practically? Because identity drives behavior far more reliably than willpower does. Someone who identifies as an investor doesn't need to white-knuckle their way through a market downturn, gritting their teeth and refusing to sell. They just don't really consider selling. Because selling isn't something an investor does during a dip, any more than a farmer plows up their field because it rained too hard one week. The behavior becomes automatic because it's tied to who they believe they are, not just what they've decided to do today. So here's a small, almost silly-sounding exercise. Start referring to yourself, even just in your own head, as an investor rather than as someone who's trying to save. Say it that plainly. It sounds like nothing. It is not nothing. This is, for a lot of people, the actual emotional core of the whole thing. So let's slow down here for a second. Early on, money mostly buys you objects, a nicer couch, a better vacation, a slightly less stressful grocery trip. Nothing wrong with any of that, genuinely. I like a nice couch as much as the next person. But there's a point further down the road where your investments grow large enough that they start buying you something categorically different. Time, optionality, the ability to say no. Here's what I mean, concretely. Maybe it's the ability to take a lower-paying job that doesn't crush your soul because your portfolio is quietly covering the gap. Maybe it's being able to take 3 unpaid months off to care for a parent without panicking about the mortgage. Maybe, and this one hits people hard when they first realize it, it's simply being able to sit in a performance review and not feel your stomach drop when your manager starts talking because you know, deep down, that this job is not the only thing standing between you and disaster. That feeling of a job being a choice rather than a life support system is enormous. It changes your posture, both literally and figuratively. People who reach this point often describe feeling taller in meetings, not because anything about the job changed, but because their relationship to needing the job changed. I want to be careful here because this isn't about hitting some magical number and suddenly never worrying about money again. That's a fantasy, and a slightly dangerous one, honestly, because chasing a single number as a finish line can make you miss the gradual freedom building up along the way. It's not binary. It's a dimmer switch, not a light switch. The dial just slowly turns from money controls my choices to I control my choices, and money is one of the tools I use. Practically speaking, start noticing the small moments where your portfolio, even a modest one, already gives you a sliver of that freedom. Did you turn down some short-term gig because you didn't need the money as badly as you would have 3 years ago? That's the dial turning. Track those moments. They're proof the shift is happening long before any headline number arrives. And honestly, I think this is the part of investing nobody puts in the ads. The ads show you a beach, a boat, some vague sunset, the aesthetics of freedom, not the mechanics of it. But the actual lived experience of financial freedom is way quieter than that. It's the ability to sit through an awkward silence in a negotiation without flinching. It's the ability to take the slower, saner route through a career instead of the frantic one. It doesn't photograph well, which is maybe why nobody markets it accurately. But it's real, and it's the thing actually worth building toward. Last piece, and I think this one gets talked about the least, even though it might matter the most. Once your investments start visibly working, that confidence doesn't stay contained to your brokerage account. It leaks into everything else. People who've watched their money grow steadily over years tend to make calmer decisions elsewhere in life too. Bigger career risks, tougher conversations, the willingness to walk away from a bad relationship or a toxic job because there's a quiet floor underneath them now. Not a guarantee, never a guarantee, but a floor. And a floor changes how boldly you're willing to walk. There's a kind of feedback loop here that's honestly pretty satisfying once you notice it. Financial calm produces clearer thinking. Clearer thinking produces better decisions, in money and elsewhere. Better decisions produce more financial calm. Round and round it goes, and it compounds just like the money does, just in a currency you can't screenshot. I think about a guy named Marcus I used to work with. Different Marcus, has nothing to do with any of my other stories, just a common name, who told me the year his portfolio crossed a number that finally felt substantial to him was the same year he finally asked for the raise he'd been too nervous to ask for like 4 years running. He said it wasn't that the money made him arrogant. It was that it made him steady, and steady people negotiate differently than desperate people do. So the action here is less concrete and more of an invitation. Pay attention to whether your growing financial base is quietly making you braver in other parts of your life. If it isn't yet, that's fine. It takes time. But when you notice when you notice yourself speaking up in a meeting you'd have stayed silent in 2 years ago, that's the compounding showing up somewhere you weren't expecting to find it. So let's bring this back together, because I know that was a lot of ground to cover. There is a real point, not a mystical one, not a marketing gimmick, an actual mechanical identifiable point, where your investments stop being a chore you tolerate and start becoming a force that's actively reshaping your life. It shows up first as pure math, the moment your money starts out earning your own contributions. Then it shows up as identity, the quiet shift from someone who's trying to save to someone who simply is an investor. Then it shows up as freedom, as the slow transformation of dollars into time and choices. And finally, it shows up as confidence, spilling out of your bank account and into every other room of your life. None of this happens quickly, and I'd be lying to you if I promised it did. The unglamorous truth is that the early years are going to feel like almost nothing, like you're watering a plant that refuses to grow. And the only thing that gets you through that stretch is trusting the mechanics even when you can't feel them working. But they are working. Quietly, invisibly. And then, one day, not so invisibly at all. If there's one thing I'd want you to actually walk away with, it's this. Stop waiting to feel different before you believe it's working. The feeling comes late. The mechanics start on day one. So the real question isn't whether you'll reach that point. For anyone who stays consistent long enough, you basically will. The real question is just whether you keep showing up during the years before you can feel it. Honestly, that's the whole game. Now, if you found this valuable, make sure to press that like button, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.